Oh, man. Gronk Mania. Are you guys ready for Gronk Mania? Because that's what we're all getting. That's what it's being advertised as. Since Gronkowski inked his name on that WWE deal, and I could just picture the old man in Stamford, Connecticut's face. When Gronkowski signed his name on that deal, he probably went ass over tea kettle, he probably flipped over backwards in his chair, and the old man had an orgasm the size of the Roman Empire. It's gonna be Gronk Mania! It'll be as big as the Roman Empire! Whoa, calm down there, Vince. Which Roman Empire are you talking about, buddy? Relax. Remember about Linda McMahon, Vince. Linda. Put the Roman fantasies aside. Guys, that's about as much fun as I can have with you in this review, unfortunately. Because for the next 20-25 minutes, however long we go on this SmackDown review, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have too much lighthearted moments, right? I'm going to be truthful as I always am with you guys, and unfortunately, there's a lot that's just mind-boggling in this show. But that's a typical WWE show, I guess. But the fact that everything's revolving around Rob Gronkowski now for WrestleMania because he's the supposed host, it's just laughable. I was sent an email by WWE last night with actual Gronkowski merchandise already out there in the world. Gronk Mania merchandise. A Gronk Mania t-shirt, Gronk Mania hoodies, Gronk Mania gym water bottles, Gronk Mania keychains. It's Gronk Mania! The second that sumbitch signed his name on the dotted line, Vince McMahon started seeing these imaginary Fantasyland dollar signs. And I call it Fantasyland dollar signs because who the hell is really buying a Gronk Mania hoodie? Or a Gronk Mania keychain? Or a Gronk Mania water bottle? Come on, man! Who thinks of this shit? And you wonder why WWE merchandise sales have been going drastically down by the month every single year. Because they lack the same care, or they put in the same amount of care into the merchandise as they do in the product. I get these emails from WWE's marketing team and their promotional and their fucking merchandising. And it makes me cringe as a fan of pro wrestling. But then as somebody who's got to talk about this shit, and this is what's being put out there in the world. The thought that there is probably some sheep out there in the world that's going to walk by me one day in a supermarket in a Gronk Mania hoodie. Save yourself the aggravation. Right below this video, you're going to see an Amp Unit hoodie. Get that. I assure you. A, it's much more cooler, and B, much more comfortable. Gronk Mania is honestly what we're doing now. This is where we're at in 2020. Gronk Mania. Nobody cares. I've yet to meet a wrestling fan that's going, I think this is awesome. It's Gronk Mania, BC. This is huge. Gronkowski's huge in the NFL. First of all, he's retired. Second of all, he was just the fucking tight end for the Patriots. That's it. I have family and friends all over New England. A big deal to a point, nowhere near a big of a deal as a Tom Brady. Trust me. He was in the same league as what's his name, Elderman. They're wide out. That's all it is. He's a supporting cast member for a fucking football team. And all of a sudden, Vince McMahon's having gasms because of this dude. Oh, man. Can you tell I'm just heated at just the thought process that goes in to this company? When you have an Intercontinental Champion in 2019 like Shinsuke Nakamura, when he had that title, and no care was put into Shinsuke or the championship. Half the time you didn't even know he was champion. Same thing with Finn Balor when he had the championship. 2019, I believe early 2019. And you wouldn't even know it. Placed in obscurity. His only fucking feud was with Bob Lashley. Asuka, Kairi Sane. Do you even remember? You probably have to remind yourself 17 times a week that they're even tag team champions. No care gets put into the division, much less the championships, and even worse, the actual individuals holding the championships. Talents like Sasha Banks and Aleister Black, Vince doesn't know what to do with these talents. So they'll sit in obscurity forever. Sasha Banks has already been there for a couple of years now. The past couple of years. Aleister Black, give it time. He gets some moments here and there. Give it time. Vince will pack him, tuck him nice and snugly into his bed of irrelevancy. His kingdom of obscurity. Because he's too busy trying to get Tyson Fury. He's too busy trying to get Cain Velasquez. He's too busy trying to ink a deal with Gronkowski because he thinks all these sumbitches will bring him some extra media coverage. Who cares about my actual wrestlers? My actual talent in my company? I gotta try to get a headline on ESPN. Maybe Fox will put this in their headline. Cain Velasquez. Meanwhile, your pro wrestling audience doesn't give a fuck about Velasquez or Fury or Gronk, and that's never more evident by seeing the needle not change at all. It does not swing, that needle. That pendulum does not swing in the right direction. It stays either stagnant or goes in the opposite direction. Toward the who gives a shit direction. That's where that pendulum is swaying. Sorry, not sorry, guys. I've had enough of the old man in Stamford, Connecticut constantly looking past the superstars he has on that roster because there's some damn good talent on that roster. And he looks past them constantly to try to sign people and give all the attention to Gronkowski and all the other who he thinks is athletes in the world. Well, if you want athletes, Vince, look no further than your own company because those damn superstars are athletes and then some. Athletes to the 10th degree. I assure you. It's frustrating. I told you guys in yesterday's podcast that I put out how Orton was pissed off about the new graphic for WrestleMania because Rob Gronkowski is in the middle of it. Taking his big dumbass looking mug right in the middle of this graphic. And on the side of him, you got the man, Becky Lynch, you little weirdo. You got Brock Lesnar, you got fucking John Cena, you got Roman Reigns, so you got some part-timers up there, you got some forced faces of the company. No Randy Orton, no Edge. The hottest feud right now in WWE. No, Vince doesn't think they can sell any fucking tickets. Even though they swept the WWE's fucking attention as far as their fans go. But no. In Fantasyland, Roman Empire is thriving. In Fantasyland, we're still playing along with the notion that Becky's the face of the company. Okay. All right. Wow. The delusion in this company is mind-boggling. I would say it's sad and depressing, but it's actually so fucking... It's scary how delusional this company is. And it starts right at the top with the old man. Anyway, that's my opening monologue, guys. I couldn't believe that we're really doing this. We're calling it Gronk Mania. We're putting all of this stock into Gronkowski for the WrestleMania 36. I'm getting emails sent to me about Gronk Mania merchandise. What are we doing? What are we doing, Vince? What happened to this company? From Hulkamania and the Warrior. I'm talking the Macho Man, yeah. The Stone Cold Steve Austin, what? You got your eyes locked on the eyes of the world's toughest son of a bitch. If you smell what the Rock is cooking. What happened to all of that? Now we're at the fucking Roman Empire. The guy can barely cut a fucking promo. We're talking about Gronk Mania. We're talking about Little Eros. I'm the man, Becky Lynch, and I'm the face. What? Huh? How? Anyway, I gotta move on with the SmackDown review, or I'll be here for the next hour flipping out about this stupidity. It's just mind-boggling to me. Now, did SmackDown last night do better than last week's Friday Night SmackDown? Absolutely. I wish I could say drastically different, but it wasn't. But last week, we all gave them a little bit of a mulligan. It was their first night kind of adjusting to this kind of ordeal. Monday, I was not giving them a mulligan. Monday, they had a whole weekend to put together some creative shit. Instead, they took 2 of the 3 hours, and they just replayed the Men's Royal Rumble match from this year. Some fans decided to give them a mulligan on Monday as well. So here we are a full week, though. There's no reason at all they couldn't get uber creative this week. Right? I mean, you just look at what AEW did Wednesday night with the Lance Archer segment, where they filmed it obviously way before Dynamite took the airwaves Wednesday night. They filmed this thing where Archer was at this like backyard wrestling, took out about 25 bodies. I loved the segment. You can get creative. It doesn't have to be just forced into that 2-hour live slot. You should have been filming things this whole week. That's what I mean about not caring. That's what I mean about not being innovative. You have this rookie company like AEW filming all of these segments during the week that are really cool, and they make them a part of their show on Wednesday. WWE just replays matches from former pay-per-views, past pay-per-views, and then they just force shit into that live 2 hours. That sucks. Lame-ass promos. Lame-ass interviews. It's clear they're just using everything as filler. They're not excited about what they're doing. They're not putting out awesome content. It's just all filler just to get through the program. You gotta film stuff throughout the week. Advance your storylines. Use this time, these trying times, as a positive for your company. Look at what you can be doing. Suspend the wrestling action then in the middle of that ring in front of no crowd. That's fine. We understand. But you should be telling stories right now. That's what McMahon always used to say. We're about telling stories. Well, yeah, that's what fans love about pro wrestling. But you stopped telling them. You gave up. Now more than ever, you should be telling epic stories. You should have been filming stuff throughout the week. Yes, it's going to take creativity. It's going to take thought. It's going to take care. It's going to take time, energy, and maybe even a few extra bucks. But damn, man, if you care about your product, if you care about your business, your company, is it not worth the extra care? The extra time, the extra effort? Damn, man. I just don't understand why I am more passionate than the fucking owner of the company. You see a rookie company like AEW do what they did this week, and then you see WWE, and it's like, what? Who's the veteran and who's the rookie? Because it feels like the roles are reversed. Feels like AEW are the veterans and WWE are the rookies. We start off with Rob Gronkowski, and the reaction that empty performance center gave to Gronk is the exact reaction he'd get in a packed to capacity arena sold out. No one cares! Crickets! Mojo comes out and they have an awkward promo together. Yeah, that's right. Mojo's back to being hyped, that character. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't just a few months ago the rehaul of Mojo's character, wasn't he like backstage talking into a mirror like a freak? And it was supposed to be a rehauled Mojo character. And then a few weeks ago, he shows up for the 24/7 title, wins it, and says he's going to bring prestige to the 24/7 title because there's no more simplistic roll-ups. He's not going to roll up for anybody. He's not going to roll over for anybody anymore. I think a week later, he was rolling over and getting rolled up by Riddick Moss. So we saw two different versions of Mojo, and now all of a sudden he's back as the original Let's Get Hype, Stay Hype Mojo Rawley. Nobody cared about it the first time, and now here we are doing it yet again. I just can't. I can't with this fucking company. And obviously this is McMahon, this is the most simplistic thing for Gronkowski. Somebody needs to be out there to hold his hand, obviously, in case he goes off the tracks. So they said, okay, well, Mojo's your friend, or at least he was back in the NFL days. You know what? Who cares if nothing makes sense? Who cares if this is literally the most nonsensical BS we could have put out there, but just put Mojo out there in his old character. Vince, are you sure? Because we already said he's changed a couple of times. Yeah, they'll forget. They're sheep. So there's Stay Hype Mojo out there. Baron Corbin then comes out, and everything becomes even more awkward. Elias then comes out, sings a lullaby or some shit. I don't even know what Elias is doing out there. What problem does he have with anybody out there? Wasn't Elias just in this weird thing with Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Shinsuke? Now all of a sudden, he's bored, so he's going over to Baron Corbin now? Or he just wants to hang out with Gronkowski because he wants to be involved in Gronk Mania? Is that what's going on? I don't know what Elias is doing out. Nothing's making sense! So, he, meaning Elias, Gronkowski, and Mojo, make fun of Corbin. I think, like, Gronkowski even pushes Corbin, and Mojo was on his, like, hands and knees, and so Corbin, like, tripped up or fell over Mojo. It was, like, something you'd see in, like, middle school. And then they, like, pointed at Corbin and laughed, and then, like, I don't know, what the fuck happened? Then Gronkowski made a match for WrestleMania, Elias versus Corbin. Why Elias and Corbin? What the fuck? How? Oh boy. I'm in a car right now, guys. I'm traveling. You guys could probably tell. I'm traveling, so obviously I can't be in front of the camera, you know. You can't see me right now, guys, but trust me, already in this review, I have scratched my head about 17 times while talking about this damn product. Talking about this damn company. I have scratched my head 17 times, I assure you. Because just nothing makes sense. At least WrestleMania season, usually, like, things come together months in advance, stories are progressing, feuds are heating up, so things at least make a little bit of sense in WWE. It's the one time a year where you could, you know, piece together some of those puzzle pieces. I can't even tell you that's the truth this year, and this has nothing to do with what's going around in the world either. This is just Vince McMahon's stupidity and lack of care, no direction, and nonsensical bullshit booking. Up next, Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak. So, by the way, that whole first segment was just to set up Corbin and Elias for WrestleMania. I can't even make it up. Up next is Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak versus Cesaro and Nakamura. Sami Zayn on commentary. Listen, this is better than a 2-hour replay of a Royal Rumble match for sure, but still not creative. By the end of this match, we are 1/4 finished with the show, and we have the stereotypical cringeworthy supposed to be comedy segment with Corbin and Elias, and now a tag team match with zero enthusiasm behind it. You guys know I'm right. This type of booking takes little to no thought at all. I feel like they're just trying to get through these shows instead of having fun. Instead of loving what you're doing. I'm not getting that from anyone. Creatively, especially, I'm not getting that from them in that department. I feel like they're just trying to get through these shows. The finish saw Daniel Bryan pin Cesaro. And that's it. There's literally nothing else to add from that. That whole thing was to see Daniel Bryan pin Cesaro. Moving on, I guess. There's... Bayley and Sasha Banks are middle of the ring. Paige is up on the Tron. After some back and forth between Bayley and Paige, somehow, again, typical with this company, without any explanation, Paige just starts making WrestleMania matches. Paige informs Bayley that at Mania she'll be defending the title against Lacey Evans, Dana Brooke, Tamina Snuka, Naomi, and Sasha Banks. Bayley is pissed and storms off as Sasha remains in the ring, pondering the possibility of actually winning the title. Right? Could I win the title? You know, as a big Sasha Banks fan, you would think that the thought of Sasha Banks winning the championship at WrestleMania would be something epic, right? But when you tell me that her big moment would be in a six-pack challenge, no, it should be Sasha versus Bayley, stemming from an awesome feud that they've been having for months, like we could have got a few years ago. But they throw Sasha in there with 5 other females, and if you're telling me that's how she's going to win the championship, you're going to say beggars can't be choosers, BC? And then you're telling me she's finally getting her WrestleMania championship winning moment in front of nobody at the PC. This couldn't have been in New York years ago. Or fucking Orlando, or whatever the fuck they've been in the past 3 to 4 years. Fuck! That's where Sasha should have been getting that moment. And that's just playing fantasy booking and saying that they'd even give it to Sasha Banks. Please, I think Vince would give it to Lacey Evans way before he gives it to Sasha. But can we just talk about how Tamina Snuka gets a championship match when she hasn't been seen in fucking decades, it seems? That might be a little bit exaggerated. But she hasn't been seen in the longest time. She comes back, or she's not even back, I'm sorry, they just announced she's coming back, to a championship match. And then you wonder why I made that video in last week's podcast, and the whole main topic of last week's podcast was about how titles are now meaningless in WWE. They're a joke. And it's because the champions are treated like jokes, and it's because the challengers for the champions and those championships, they're not actual challengers. They're not number 1 contenders. Oh man, Tamina Snuka. It doesn't even end there. Why is Paige, who gave her the power to make WrestleMania championship matches? They advertised for a half an hour beforehand that Paige is returning to WWE tonight. Like anybody gives a fuck. A. B. She doesn't even show up. She's up on the Tron. Self-freaking quarantined or some shit. Fucking FaceTiming Michael Cole or some shit. And all of a sudden, she's making championship WrestleMania matches. Nobody has an issue with this. When I mention this type of shit, I kid you guys not, I get those fans, and I use that very loosely, that claim, what's the problem, BC? You're being overly critical, too negative. You're not thinking clearly, BC. This makes sense. No, it doesn't. Paige just came back for what? To start making championship matches? Who bestowed the power? And if that's the case, Beth Phoenix can then do that, right? If that's the case, Bayley can start naming her own fucking matches. Because clearly there's no order anymore in that company. I got a fucking Rob Gronkowski's making matches, Paige is making matches, Tamina Snuka is getting championship matches. Nobody has a problem with any of this. I'm the only one who addresses this shit. I'm not going to apologize for my standards being higher. I'm not going to apologize because I'm not a fucking sheep. I'm not going to apologize because I know what this company should and could be. And for some reason just refuses to be. As we wind down hour number 1, I'm still waiting for something on the show to wow me. Something that we can get excited about and talk about in depth in this review. Instead, we end hour number 1 and go deep into hour number 2 with a replay from WrestleMania 30, Bray Wyatt and John Cena. And with commercials, this replay took up a half hour of airtime. So 1/4 of this show to another replay. Just use this film. Instead of using your 2-hour platform to get super creative, baby. Instead of using that 2 hours to jam-pack it with awesome storytelling. They're just trying to fill up the 2 hours. You see the difference? Man, if I ran a wrestling company and you gave me 2 freaking hours, and what's going on in the world is going on, and there's no fans in attendance, and I'm forced to call an audible, but you're giving me 2 hours to tell stories with talent. Oh man, we are gonna make we're gonna have a fun night. You are gonna be talking about these stories. You are gonna be talking about how awesome this show is. They're just trying to fill up the 2 hours. They just took a fucking half hour and they're like, let's just replay Cena and Wyatt from 6 years ago. Nobody needs to see it this year then. What the fuck do we need to see it? That's the Fiend is Bray Wyatt. John Cena, last I saw, John Cena is still John Cena. He didn't turn in anyone else. This isn't a video game where he took on somebody else's moveset. So what do you think's going to be different here? That's the matchup. They're going to have to turn it more into a brawl and a fight as Gina. John Gina. As John Cena said, it's going to be more of a fight. And that's because Cena knows he's not even the same wrestler he was a year ago. He admitted time and time again he's nowhere near that. So this is going to be a little bit more of a fight, even less of a wrestling match. Now, I didn't mind that wrestling match from 6 years ago. If you go back and look at the crowd, they were having the time of their lives, man. They didn't sit down once in that match. They were having fun. They were into it. The match wasn't bad, but we've seen it, and that was 6 years ago. What the hell do we need to see now? If the title was on the line and Cena was going for his 17th championship, then I'm invested. But this is just a consolation prize for Wyatt, right? The way he lost that championship to Goldberg. And now what? He's going to beat John Cena 6 years after he attempted to the first time. Who cares? It's not going to avenge your title loss. The dude lost to a 53-year-old guy in less than 3 minutes. In a Thursday afternoon. On a Thursday afternoon. And what? A WrestleMania victory over John Cena? That's going to avenge that? Anyway, I'm going off track. They played a half-an-hour replay of Cena and Wyatt from WrestleMania 30. I kid you not. And at this point, we're deep into hour number 2. Luckily, the next segment at least made me laugh. Miz and Morrison had a dirt sheet. And I honestly, I love this. This was the only time last night where they got somewhat creative. And it was probably Miz and Morrison's idea. Who knows? But they had a dirt sheet, so they're sitting in the middle of the ring. And they started making fun of the New Day, the Usos, and the Heavy Machinery all at once. They kind of made pretend like they were fans that got into the arena. They were half fans and half the actual tag teams. I couldn't tell which was which. But Miz and Morrison played the parts of the Usos, and the Usos were in the stands. And they were yelling out, "Yo, Uso," doing the whole Uso fucking promo that they cut. Then Miz and Morrison also played the parts of the New Day, which was in a separate section of the PC. And they were doing the whole New Day shtick. And then they played the parts of Heavy Machinery as well, dressed up as just bacon. And by the way, for the New Day, Morrison was dressed up as a unicorn. Miz is slinging pancakes. And so I love how they did this. They had all of the teams, and again, they were played by Miz and Morrison. They weren't the actual teams. But they were all in different places, pre-recorded, obviously, throughout the PC. And they were all yelling at each other. And all the teams kept calling Heavy Machinery hams. They were dressed as bacon, don't forget. They were calling them hams. Miz was getting absolute pissed off, playing the role of Otis. He's like, "We're bacon! We're bacon! Damn it, bacon!" I literally LOL'd at that, man. What else? I don't know. And then they talked about how the New Day opening shtick was getting old. And Miz is like, "Wow, I never thought about it. We've been doing it for so long. I guess it is really bad." And Morrison, who's dressed up as a unicorn, is like, "Yeah, it's pretty dumb, isn't it?" I love how they were just making fun of all of it, man. Even Miz called the Usos, they look like backup dancers in a bad rap video. The way they're dressed and their whole shtick. Oh, man. I don't know, dude. Maybe I just needed a laugh at that point. But for me, that was the only real entertaining part of the night. You know, a comedy segment like that. And they actually utilized the PC Center a little bit. That's what I mean. You know, when I say get creative, it doesn't have to be the grandest thing for every segment. It could be little things like that. If you want to add comedy, that's awesome. I want to laugh. But just do it interestingly. Have some fun with it. Utilize your surrounding areas in your atmosphere. You're in an empty PC. Utilize that. That doesn't just mean brawl around the PC. So they made pretend that Miz and Morrison were fans all around the arena, 3 separate different ways, 3 separate tag teams. You know? They at least put some thought into that. I know there's going to be fans out there, "Oh, it was totally stupid. That was so dumb." I understand, guys, but you know, at least it's something. It's a start. If that one segment was a part of a 2-hour show that was filled with entertaining / creative segments, I bet you a lot more of you would be fine with it. So I didn't mind that. This leads to a Heavy Machinery versus Dirt Sheet match. Dolph comes out down to the ring during this thing, ends up showing some photos of him and Mandy up on the Tron. This upsets Otis to the point where Otis flips out, gets DQ'd, and then beats the hell out of Dolph afterwards. And then I believe he started crying into Tucker's shoulder. So Otis is really devastated about Mandy being with Dolph. That's probably one of the hottest storylines, right up there with Edge and Orton right now. Otis and Mandy. That's kind of funny. And then the end of the night was the contract signing between Bill Goldberg and Roman Reigns. This was... it was not horrible. It was an intense signing between Roman and Goldberg. No contact, but it wasn't needed. No physicality. And again, not needed. I like the fact that there was intensity because that's the only thing there is. There's nothing else for Roman Reigns and Goldberg. There's no actual story other than spear versus spear. And a tweet from months ago is what they're going on. I guess Roman tweeted out making fun of Goldberg for knocking himself out by hitting the post at Super Showdown or doors, getting knocked out by doors. So that's the story. They're going on a tweet from months ago in spear versus spear. But we all know this is going to be about a 3-minute squash match because nobody needs to see a 10-minute Roman Reigns match. He's got about 4 fucking moves. 10 minutes is all you need for a Roman match. 2 minutes is all you need for Goldberg. Let's meet in the middle. Let's give him 5 or 6 tops. So the fact that there was intensity, at least, right? Right? You think that, both are alphas, both are, jacked up, ready to rock each other, and you would believe that in an alpha versus alpha fight or matchup that you'd be angry, you'd be intense, right? You'd want them to know that you ain't playing them around. So at least there was that intensity. The promo work was just, come on, it's a Roman promo and it's Goldberg. When Goldberg is just himself and cutting these promos, he's not horrible. I just feel like they gave him just 2 straight bullet points. That didn't feel like Goldberg being Goldberg. That was Goldberg like being told specific bullet points and not to veer off at all. I think they were pressed on time. They only had 3 minutes by the time Cole shut his mouth. It just didn't, I don't know. The intensity is the only good thing from it. No contact, no physicality. I like that. I didn't want to see any of that last night. Save that, because again, the match isn't going to be that long anyway. We don't need to see half of it at a contract signing. I wish it was more intense vocally on the mic, but again, you're dealing with Goldberg and especially Roman Reigns. He's just not a good promo cutter. And that was the end of the night. They flipped off they threw the table out of the way and they stared at each other face to face. You heard the walkie counting them down by production. That was an accident, but it was so silent from nobody being in the crowd that you literally heard the production walkie counting them down, I couldn't get the exact word on it. Was it stick it? Which in pro wrestling, stick it just means that you're staying in position. That's how the pro wrestler knows to not veer off. Keep what you're doing, staring, or looking in a certain direction, or just stay in place. So I think he was saying stick it, or something like that. But he was basically telling them, hold that, and then you could hear the final words, and then we cut to black. So that was definitely production. That was obviously an accident, but I have no problem with that. I don't even care at that point. By that point, it was 2 hours of fucking filler for the most part. When you see what AEW did Wednesday, and then you see a show like that last night, it's just, it leaves so much more to be desired, and it's just depressing, man, because this is it's a $1 billion conglomerate company that should be doing so much more. Yes, during these trying times, they should be and could be doing so much more. They just refuse to. They're just so fucking lazy. It's mind-boggling. But that was SmackDown for March 20th, 2020, guys. I got to get back on the road here. I'm sure people around this fucking station are looking at me like, he's been parked there for 40 minutes. What is he doing? He's a weird one there. He's yelling into his camera. Much love to you guys, man. I'll talk to you when I talk to you. I do have a little bit of this trip could take me. I might not be hitting home tonight, so I doubt there's going to be an impromptu video tomorrow is what I'm getting at. This trip might take me a little extra longer, but maybe an impromptu vid on Monday, so keep an eye out for that. You should be subscribed and notified anyway. I shouldn't have to tell you that. But definitely Tuesday, I'll hit you guys with the Raw review and reaction. But keep your eye out. There could be an impromptu video. Either way, I'll talk to you when I talk to you. And until then, think, be, live amplified. Check you later.